To all those people watching, I like to remind everyone that this video is not made for kids. It's for older fans and adults. Enjoy the fucking video!
Krovinsgate is home to the Skarlovi Railway, but it's also home to the workshop facility that repairs the engines and rolling stock on the Fat Controller's railway, as well as other engines both large and small. There are three engines who are Victor, Jeff, and Harvey. They sometimes shunt around the yards, placing engines, coaches and trucks in and out of the sidings to be either repaired or for when the repairs are completed. Sometimes Harvey and Jeff would take permanent way gangs to repair a part of the line or to help an engine in need. Victor is a narrow gauge engine and would mostly work around the yard while Jeff and Harvey are busy elsewhere. But sometimes he goes to the Skarlovi Railway and sees what help was needed. But one day it was Victor who needed help with something. "What was that?" he remarked. His driver got out of the cab and saw the problem. "It's a group of pigeons," groaned the driver. "Pigeons?" remarked Victor surprisingly. Sure enough, in one of the girders there was a group of pigeons who had made a nest. "We better get rid of them," said his driver. "They might be a havoc to us and the others here at the works." "I don't think they would cause any harm, driver," Victor smiled. "But they left one of their droppings on you." "One dropping isn't a big deal. Just give me a clean when we have the time. Come on, we better leave them alone and get back to work." Victor's driver sighed. "You may have a good heart, Victor, but don't say I didn't warn you."
Hello everybody! Welcome to the island of Sodor.
More pigeons have been making a home at the works, but despite Victor's driver's warning, Victor didn't seem to mind them. But the other engines didn't share the same mindset. "Hey, what the?" "Pigeons? Since when did these filthy creatures start living here?" "For a while, Gordon," replied Victor crossly. "And they are not filthy creatures." "They are, Victor," retorted Emily. "I've been here for a few weeks and already they've been covering my paintwork. Look at me." "Oh, you, that could be washed off easily. They're not causing any harm." Gordon and Emily groaned. "At this rate there will be no workshops for us and the Fat Controller would have to find a heritage railway to repair us," snapped Gordon. "There are no facilities like Krovinsgate on the mainland in this day and age," agreed Emily. "Just wait, he'll crack soon." As the weeks passed, more pigeons were nesting in one of the girders at the works and were leaving more mess behind. And as Emily had predicted, Victor began to see why they were a nuisance. "Oh, look at this mess," he thought. He then looked towards the pigeons and sighed. But these pigeons made it their home, so... Then another splat could be heard, and this time it was Duck who was the victim. "Hey, stop that!" shouted Duck. "I'm sorry, my friend, but it seems they made a home here. We just have to put up with it, I suppose." "You can't put up with it for long," argued Duck. "Some inspectors might see this mess as a health and safety violation, and they might close the works down. I don't want to instill fear, but in this case it might likely happen." Victor knew that Duck was right, and spoke to the manager about it. "Glad to see you finally understand it, Victor. We'll try and find a way to shoo them away." Their first idea was to use one of the cats who had made a home at the works. The pigeons weren't frightened off. Victor couldn't understand why. "He's a cat," Aren't birds afraid of them? They are, replied the works manager. But I think they grew accustomed to fuzzball thanks to the weeks they had spent here. Victor sighed. Well, what else can we do? Here's a broom, replied one of the workmen. I guess this might shoo them away. So they went with that. The pigeons were disturbed and some flapped away. Hooray! Cried Victor and the others, but the pigeons soon went back to their nest and nestled there. Great, huffed Victor. I can bring my rifle that I use for clay pigeon shooting, replied an elderly workman. We can't go that far, replied the manager crossly. They are a nuisance, but they still have a right to live. Suit yourself, he said. They even tried Victor, Jeff and Harvey to make noise to scare the pigeons off. But with them being accustomed to the loud and noisy workshop, they couldn't budge. Victor was getting angry. This is absurd, he snapped. These pigeons have become a pest. Oh, why did I go soft on these things? There is still my rifle, said the elderly workman. Sadly, there was no other solution, and the works manager told them the same words that Victor told everyone before. We'll just have to put up with them, I suppose. But what if any inspection manager? Asked Victor. Well, all I can say is that we need some sort of miracle to pass any future inspection now, Victor. Victor sighed sadly. That night, Victor's driver was at home on his computer watching a documentary about the London Underground. He spotted a scene where the workmen were having trouble with their own pigeon infestation, and there was a solution to all this. It wasn't a cat, nor a broom, or even a few engines making noises. It was a hawk? That's right, Victor, said his driver. A friend of mine had loaned it to me to solve our pigeon problem. Victor was doubtful, but he, the other engines, Kevin, the workman, and the manager were in desperate need to solve this crisis that they were facing, and so they agreed to let Victor's driver use the hawk. When it was released, everyone was surprised. The hawk glided around the works and swooped towards the pigeons and squawked at them. This had frightened the pigeons, and they scurried away in all directions with the hawk following closely behind. Everyone cheered that the plan had worked. Pigeons were gone, their nest was removed, and the workshops were cleaned of its droppings. Later that day, Victor's driver's friend came to take his hawk home. Does he have to go home? Victor asked sadly. He has to, Victor. This isn't ours to keep, said his driver. But what if more pigeons come? We may need the hawk again. Victor's driver and the others knew that he was right. The friend noticed this as well and then said, I think it's more than solving potential problems. I think Victor had made a friend out of him. Everyone was surprised. Victor had despised birds ever since the problem began, but thanks to the hawk he started to like them again. You know, I'm planning on moving to a uniblock at Tidmouth, and there won't be enough open space for my hawk to fly over. So how about having him at your works to keep stopping more infestation of pigeons? You mean that? Chirped Victor. Are you sure you're right with that? Asked the driver. I'm sure, smiled the friend. Victor was pleased. And from that day on there were less pigeons at the works, all thanks to the hawk. When he's not busy hunting prey, he would do stunts and sear in the skies around the works with much supervision so he won't get lost. Fuzzball steers clear away from the hawk, but all the same she enjoys his presence too, and that she doesn't have to look for prey by herself. Victor was pleased, and thanks to the hawk's help, there had been no word about the idea of the works closing down anymore.